A very good evening to you all. Thank you for joining us for the UBC News Tonight, the 10 o'clock edition, this 4th day of January 2026. My name is Wadulo Arnold Mark, and shortly we'll be joined by Mugalo Mohammed on sign language. Without further ado, let's take a look at tonight's top stories and then get into the bulletin. And in our headlines tonight, President Museveni challenges the young generation on priorities of nation building. Still, President Museveni gives Greater Kasokoso residents land ownership grants, them land titles, and ANT presidential candidate General Retired Mugisha Muntu delivers message against political manipulation. FDC's Nandala Mafari supports communities to acquire forest reserve land for coffee growing. Once again, thank you for joining us. We now give you the news in detail. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has challenged the young generation on value addition and priorities of nation building. The president was engaged in a question and answer session by a section of journalists and digital content creators at State House Nakasero. President Museveni largely blames the unemployment gap on the poor mindset of the young generation. And the session was moderated by Natasha Karugire Museveni. Let's take a look.
Let's stand up and welcome Jaja.
President Yoweri Museveni has held a media interaction with a section of journalists and online content creators to address fogged mind in the young generation. The engagement at State House Nakasero was a question and answer session.
I'm trying to defog their minds because there's a lot of fog in the world. So I don't mind defogging them.
The president re-echoed the strategy of prioritizing sector growth, which has recovered Uganda from the colonial economy dominated by few cash crops to the current modern and wide range of exports.
The emphasis has been more on agriculture, manufacturing, those basics, so that we have the base, then from the base you can, because all those skills need food. The more the economy expands and transforms, because we are doing two things, expansion, diversification, but also transformation.
Some participants sought to understand the solutions to unemployment, which has witnessed more working population migrate to the Middle East countries. The president blamed the poor mindset of the victims who have failed to listen to wealth creation.
If you now go to manufacturing, then services, you can see border, border. That is now services. Then the ICT. So potential ediwo na yeti mugireka wano ni mugenda kukora emirimo y'obuddu.
Building a self-sustaining, integrated and independent economy was part of the 10-point program of the NRM. The president says this has been partly implemented but has increased the export earnings of the country.
So this is because of that value addition. The shirt I'm putting you is from Ugandan cotton. But in the past, this was being made in, I don't know where. Now, this is the crisis in Africa. Even coffee, we are still exporting unprocessed coffee.
Some digital broadcasters decry the high cost of the internet, asking for government's intervention. The president promises that the ongoing implementation of the national backbone infrastructure will ensure that all parts of the country accesses internet services.
The digital space brings us closer. It connects us, the farmers, the manufacturers, but we are not seeing government coming up to tell us or even to understand what the digital space is. Of course, people talk about digital this.
There were attempts by the telephone companies to monopolize, but we said no. Electricity, the railway, and the internet backbone, they call it internet backbone, must be owned by the government so that we are not there to make profit.
On education, the president reassures of commitment on ensuring free education to address school dropouts.
The local elite, because of their not seeing far, have not implemented UPE properly. They still bring back charges which chase children from the school.
The dubbed Chat with Jaja session was more of a cakewalk, as all the concerns by the participants fell under the usual NRM principles.
Because now we feel we are closer to you. I had never seen you one-on-one real time. So I used to say, hey, because growing up they told us, so now I'm looking at the man, I'm like, wow.
Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
Interesting. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has issued a directive that the residents of Greater Kasokoso should never be evicted from their land. The 400 acres have been the subject of a long-standing dispute between the residents and the National Housing and Construction Company for over 2 decades. The directive delivered to the residents by the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja on Sunday stipulates that the National Housing should be provided with alternative land and that the residents of Greater Kasokoso should be granted individual land titles.
Greater Kasokoso residents were excited as the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja delivered a long-awaited land ownership message to the residents at Kasokoso Beach. In the message, the president directed that residents of Kasokoso should never be evicted from their land, permitting them to develop and reside on the land. The directive was read by the Prime Minister Robin Nabanja.
Today, the 4th of January 2026, I am happy to inform the residents of Kasokoso Chiganda that the NRM leadership has carefully studied the issue that you brought to my attention during the PDM tours in November 2025 and resolved as follows: that our people in the area should be left to stay and develop their respective pieces of land.
The 400 acres of land have been the subject of long-standing dispute between residents and the National Housing and Construction Company. Over 4 villages of Acholi Quarters, Chirekadi, Banda 1, Mbuya 1 and 2, all in Chira Division, are affected.
We slept outside for several days. Whenever they could come, they could still throw us, they could beat us. Some of our friends, like ladies, were raped. We have evidence. They took PEP for 1 month.
When the eviction process had started and people were scattered, we were running up and down to find a secure place. Because in the due course, people ran to churches, even churches were demolished, ran to mosques, they were demolished. People lost everything. People lost where to sleep.
The letter also stipulates that the National Housing should be provided with alternative land and residents be given individual land titles.
That no evictions of the occupants should take place.
The letter also directed government to come up with a plan to develop the Kasokoso with a modern infrastructure like the roads, schools, and hospitals.
Our people should not have suffered this long if I had known about their plight earlier. However, they have suffered this long because whenever we go for elections, they choose wrong leaders. Abeka Sokoso Jemuri, Bakwano Bange Mbega Irite, mbegayiridde biri abiri mugumu mwanswaza biri abiri mu mukaaga mbasaba akalulu konna akagenda okuva e Kasokoso kabeere ka President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
The residents and the leaders of the area welcomed the directive with cheers.
Netwebaza muzeeyi webale nnyo kyotukoledde okubanga wakkiriza nti ettaka lino tutandika okulifunako ebyapa. Webale kumaliriza nsonga zaffe muzeeyi obeerewo.
It is for our own benefit as NRM, because at the end of the day we are held accountable for such scenarios. This is the matter that had actually lasted for the last previous years.
Kasokoso, the largest slum in Kampala, is mainly occupied by the LRA war victims, victims of Nakawa estates, and the victims of Bukasa Port project. Philip Aguta and Gloria Gwitabinji for UBC News in Kasokoso.
And in more news, Alliance for National Transformation presidential candidate General Mugisha Muntu has delivered a strong message against political manipulation, corruption and vote buying in Kayunga district. He said that Uganda's problems ranging from poverty to unemployment cannot be solved without honesty and accountable leadership. He said that if the elect are corrupt leaders, they will reap corruption. But honest leaders harvest dignity, justice and progress. General Muntu made stops over in Nachirubi, Kangulumira, Champisi and Bale in Kayunga district, urging people of Kayunga district to pursue their political aspirations.
Programs ezimbadde njogerako ez'okwimusa abalimi, abavubi, abalunzi, ab'obukolero, ng'oteekamu training, ng'oteekamu extension services, ng'oteekamu sente kintu kikulu. Ente ezibbibwa mu ggwanga trillion 10 buli mwaka. Ze billion 2 ne million 7 ez'essente za America. Anayingira ateeka okuba alina obumanyirivu ate n'obuvumu obw'okulwanyisa abo kubanga bagenda kulwana tolowooza nti bagenda kuwanika emikono bateeka okulwana ab'omunda n'ab'ebweru kubanga abantu abaagala ebintu eby'obwerere si bangu Kyero Museveni byakozeeko abikozeeko byatanakola takyabisobola.
Muvaayo ne mukaabangiriza bwe nnyo okuŋŋaanya. So omuntu ono akulonze talina wasinzira waayo obulamu bwe kulwanirira nga naawe otokakasa bululu bwe wafunye mu ggwanga.
Era mbasaba abakyalimu enaale oba abakkiriza mu General Museveni mbasaba banyabo ne bassebo eggwanga litusinga. Naffe abayayalira obwa president litusinga nze nkimanyi linsi obukulu naye General Museveni alimu limusinga eggwanga limusinga. N'olwekyo ababadde nga bakyamuwagira mbasaba banyabo ne bassebo ab'Ekangulumira ab'Ekayunga mwagale eggwanga okusinga lwe mwagala omukulembeze omu. Ne bw'oba okoze naye mu gavumenti watokoze naye ekintu kikulu kiba nga kibaddewo ekyowenkyukakyuka nga tukiraba n'amaaso. Kati aba ayingidde naye n'atambuza eggwanga nga bw'aba asuubizza bw'abituukiriza n'aba ng'akoze ekintu abantu kye banakkiriza mwemanya nti kati tutandisa okutambula nga bwe kyandisaanidde okuba.
The FDC party presidential candidate Nathan Nandala Mafabi has supported the initiative of communities in Kasese to acquire some forest reserve land to use it for coffee and to generate incomes. While conducting his campaign rally in Maliba Town Council in Kasese district, Mafabi questioned why man cannot coexist with forests.
The Forum for Democratic Change presidential candidate Nathan Nandala Mafabi was welcomed to Maliba Town Council, Kasese district on a red carpet. Kasese has a number of FDC flag bearers for parliamentary seats for Busongora South, North and Bukonzo East constituencies who accompanied the candidate to rallies in Kasese.
North, kindly lend us your votes so that William can be a member of parliament and would benefit a lot. She's the first person to make a monument for our first king of Rwenzori. That clearly shows she believes in our culture, she believes in the kingdom, and this is a person who belongs to this region.
Before Mafabi addressed the people, a traditional dance was performed where Mafabi danced with locals. In the address, Mafabi said people in Kasese face challenge of accessing forest land for plantation, assuring locals that if voted, he will ensure he avails this land.
In agriculture, we are aware of pressure on land here, where you are not having an access to land which is belonging to a forest. A forest can be planted with plants. We want to assure you we are going to invest 10% of our money in agriculture so that the fertility of the soil is improved. We have silos to put our goods.
The presidential candidate was disappointed that the roads in these districts are not tarmacked despite the area being known for tourism. He promised to construct factories to ensure there is value addition for minerals produced in this area.
Some districts every kilo, coffee will fetch more money. You will have your minerals being made by you and the refineries will be here. We are going to bring agro industries so that our people who have no jobs can work there.
In Maliba, the candidate received gifts from locals. He also held campaign rallies in other areas of Kasese municipality. I'm Navka Farida and Helen Barbara in Kasese.
The youth have been advised to embrace government programs that improve their livelihoods, develop a saving culture as a way of planning for their future. The coordinator of the Youth Wealth Creation Program, Faizo Ndase, told a youth engagement in Makindia Division aimed at mobilizing and preparing residents ahead of the expected campaign trail of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni across the 5 divisions of Kampala.
The engagement brought together over 100 youth, most of them beneficiaries of the Youth Wealth Creation Program, who received support items to boost their small-scale businesses. The beneficiaries included saloon operators, chapat vendors, and ship stall owners. The youth commended President Museveni for the initiative, noting that it has significantly improved their incomes and livelihoods.
Abali tebakolanga twetetenkanya nosika okozesa kapaketi kamu akengano osika obuchapati obutategerekeka netukwata ku zikatoni.
President Museveni will start the Kampala campaign trail next week. Youth Wealth Creation Coordinator Faizo Ndase has mobilized youth in Makinde Division to canvass votes and consolidate support for NRM.
Mugende mumobilizinge munonya akalulu tubere nga naffe tufuna amaanyi agongera okubasapootinga ku bizinesi wansi ngaffe abaaganulwa mu pologulaamu ye ey'okutuyambako okutupushinga tugenda asimbulira wano wennyini.
President Museveni has introduced wealth creation programs to address poverty, which deserve him another term in office. Faizo Ndase once again is disunity within the NRM party, emphasizing that the shared goal is to ensure Kampala returns to NRM leadership.
Kubambwa ate nso mpozi mpala nono olwaleero Kampala kati twagala okuba nga tuli kintu kimu. Kampala aba NRM ffenna abantu abawagira President Museveni ffenna tugenda beera omutima gumu.
President Museveni will traverse Kampala, starting with Lubaga Division on 5th January, Kawempe, Machinde, Nakawa, and finally Central Division on the 13th of January 2025. Rebecca Nantongo for UBC News.
The Presidential Advisor on Political Affairs, Moses Byaruhanga, has met with market leaders in Kampala to discuss how traders can effectively benefit from the Akatale loan initiative. The meeting held in the capital attracted several market leaders from different trading centers. During the engagement, where participants were encouraged to elect leaders who closely work with and associate with the government.
Speaking at the meeting, Byaruhanga explained that the Akatale loan was introduced after a widespread mismanagement of the Emyoga funds within market structures.
Markets of Owino, Kalerwe, Busega, Rubaga, Gaba, and Nakasero. These are private markets, but depending on the performance of these markets, we shall spread toward the others. But even then, the Myoga, in other markets, because there's a Myoga for vendors, the Myoga in other markets, which we are not piloting, will continue operating if they are performing well.
He noted that despite government's intervention to empower traders, poor leadership and lack of transparency hindered the success of earlier programs.
But the idea is to get our people to boost them with capital at cheap price, at the same time with less bureaucratic requirements. That's why we are lending the money to the person directly. At first we are lending money to the circles, through the Myoga. But then some of the challenges we are faced that the leaders of the circles, when they receive money, they don't pass them on to the intended beneficiaries.
He said that President Yoweri Museveni has injected substantial funds into circles across the country, but many of these resources were mismanaged, denying intended beneficiaries meaningful impact.
Ogendo kulondola tufuna listi z'abantu circles zatuweereza mbobano beba applyinze ku loan ne tubaka abantu ngamba kali mbakubireka amasimu abantu abo tumanye okuba esimu oli walo yagamba nze mbeera bugiri sibimanyi ebyo oli n'agamba ye nkimanyi nze nasaba mitwalo 2 ni ku list kuliko million 2 nze ngolaba ebyogero ku bantu 10 abantu 8 nga beegaana ki kibogeddwako kati ngamba wano waliwo obuzibu president yamutegeeza ngamba tulina obuzibu ku Myoga gino tulina okukyusaamu enkola kubanga yo singa Myoga gyamwe gitambula bulungi temwandibadde mutusaba Katale loan kati obuzibu ate abakulembere Emyoga si bano aba microfinance abakulembere Emyoga bali mu mmwe bakulembeze balondebwa si tubalonda mwe mulonda abakulembeze ba sako yammwe so now mwino kwekuba mu katooki.
Byaruhanga emphasized disciplined leadership, accountability and political alignment to ensure that government programs like Akatale improve livelihoods among market vendors. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
And now to northern Uganda, political tensions are rising in Lira City as leaders from different political parties publicly rally support for President Yoweri Museveni and the Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng. Speaking at a joint press conference in Lira City, leaders affiliated with the opposition Uganda People's Congress and the Forum for Democratic Change urged voters to prioritize stability and development.
We cannot support another candidate.
Residents of Lira City and some opposition party leaders are embroiled in election confusion. Lira City West independent candidate Jima Wanching Malo cautioned voters on the ballot paper. He observes that supporting President Museveni does not amount to abandoning party identity.
This constitution of UPC tightens on your hands and leaves that on Bete Moyo and the husband to hit with President Museveni. They are hitting in the cabinet of President Yoweri Museveni. And you here on the ground, your hands are tied. Relieve yourself. That is what I meant by being held hostage.
The leaders also support Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng for the major health infrastructure investments across Laon.
There's no more debate about who will win this presidential election. I think that debate is closed. The question is the margins that each sub-region will give to Yoweri Museveni. And that is where the difference comes in. And I think we must speak loudly and clearly, present our positions boldly in terms of the number of votes. But we must also elect members of parliament who are competent in order to give service to the people of Lang. I want to thank Dr. Jenachem. For the first time, the Minister of Health has been quiet in a very long time. You actually haven't had a major scandal in that ministry. So she and her team, in my view, have done great for the country. Because the Minister of Health used to have scandals every other day.
But in Honorable Jane Ruth Aceng, we see a leader. A politician does anything they wish to, but a leader looks for where to take the people. When it comes to matters of leadership in Lango and more especially in Lira City, I don't see a political party. I see a leader. In Betty Amongi is a politician. But in Honorable Jane Ruth Aceng, we see a leader.
The leaders are calling for peaceful participation and high voter turnout across the Lango sub-region. Edi UBC News.
The incumbent Member of Parliament for Kagoma County, Waliomo Moses Mwanika, has refuted allegations on the mismanagement of bursaries given to the needy. He was canvassing votes in Namagera, Kagoma County, Jinja District. The stiff race is between Moses Waliomo, who is independent, and Munira, who is on the NRM card, and Innocent Anyole of National Unity Platform.
Akatale member of parliament. Yaya agaba kubasale. Murira ko honorable Brandon nti yagabye basale. Honorable Grant yagabye basale. Yene basale we dibawo. Mpe mwana hani ndeke yani. Ekisande kikuida. Ekisande kiri kolachi. Ekisande kiri kolachi. Ekisande kiri kolachi. Ekisande kiri kuida. Kolachi. Buli mwana ali ku isomero. Buli mwana ali ku isomero.
The chairman for pastors in Buikwe District, Bishop Epaphros Ntegereize, has urged pastors to guide their followers on peaceful elections. He says the January 15th date determines Uganda's destiny and calls for collective responsibility of all Ugandans. The bishop was leading a Passover Thanksgiving service at House of Praise Church in Lugazi.
Now, January, we are going to have elections, and I would like to speak to my fellow countrymen not to have that kind of bitterness because they are going to election, and after election you don't want to look at your friend. It's very important to remember and to see where we have come from. Uganda has changed great. Ugandans, they are everywhere all over the world. God is helping us. So our people, love your nation, love your leaders, pray for them, be royal, be royal, because if we are loyal to our leaders, we will be loyal to God.
It is crucial. We are in a time of politicking. You hear the young men, the young women running from here. Politics should not divide us. After 15 January, Uganda will remain here. After the winter in next year, Uganda will remain here. We've been here long enough. We have seen change and evolution of the politics. But I pray that the political landscape of Uganda shall remain stable.
Reconcile the nation with God and to pray for the political leaders. Politics should not divide us, but we should remain together as the body of Christ in Uganda. So I wish a peaceful transition and peaceful elections.
We are thankful to God for the 40 years of peace and the freedom of worship that we received in this country. So as believers, we follow the Bible, which says we should pray for the leaders, and number two, bless are the peacemakers. We are children of God, Therefore, we must maintain.
And in more news, the Secretary General HTS Union Mauku Richard Moses says that government is protecting migrant workers, and the union's questions why similar protection is lacking for domestic workers at home. He told UBC that many domestic workers still work without legal protection, fair pay or dignity. More details in this report.
Domestic workers remain the silent backbone of many Ugandan homes, from caring for children and the elderly to managing household property. Their role is centrally to daily life, yet many continue to operate in the shadows of labor laws. According to the Secretary General HTS Union, Mauku Richard Moses, domestic workers are among the most vulnerable categories of workers in the country.
We have been grappling with the issue of passing the Employment Act. One of our proposals was actually to define a domestic worker in that law, because we do not have a definite law that covers for domestic workers. We do not have any piece of legislation that covers for domestic workers, but ILO defines a domestic worker as a worker. In Uganda, it is still a nightmare.
Mauku Moses, who also doubles as the Treasurer General of the National Organization of Trade Unions and General Secretary of the Uganda Hotels, Food, Tourism, Supermarkets and Allied Workers Union, emphasized the urgent need to recognize domestic work as legitimate employment deserving full labor rights.
So we want to continuously appeal to government to ensure that this Convention 189, among other key conventions that have not been ratified, like we have a convention on social protection, that is Convention 102 by ILO. When these conventions are ratified, governments become accountable.
Unions are now appealing to government to prioritize the dignity, safety and welfare of domestic workers, recognizing their contribution not just to households but to the nation's economy.
The Bishop of Karamoja Diocese, Michael Chori, has called upon people of Karamoja not to sell off their land but develop it. This was in a sermon at the Thanksgiving of the Bishop Emeritus Joseph Abura at his home in Lorengechora, Napak Town Council.
Family and friends joined in a Thanksgiving ceremony for Emeritus Bishop of Karamoja Diocese Joseph Abura at his home in Lorengechora, Napak Town Council, Napak District.
In this home, in this family, with this clan, now and forever.
The Bishop of Karamoja Diocese was the main celebrant at the ceremony.
To all my friends, the clergy, time is coming. All civil servants and people working in the NGO world, time will come when that office will never hold you. They will tell you time has come for you to go back. So when time comes for you to retire, the community also expects you to have something for them as they receive you back. That small thing that office, that job is giving you as a salary. Thank you, Bishop Joseph and Mama Margaret, but for now you have created where they call this is the home of Bishop Joseph.
He called upon the people in Karamoja to avoid selling their land because it is Karamoja's treasure.
Those who fear to even mention the name Karamoja want to come to Karamoja of the peace and development that has come. Let us not leave this opportunity. Let us develop our own place. Whatever you get, please develop. If there is anything you can do, is to misuse land in Karamoja now. Better sell a cow or any other thing, but spare to sell this land for everyone.
Bishop Emeritus Joseph Abura thanked God and people who supported him through his journey.
I've come home after completing our work, our calling. Although for me, we are still preaching, we are still teaching, we are still counseling. That one will not end sooner, but we ought to thank God. We thanked God, appreciated God for that life. We have come back healthy, both of us.
He had a message for the young people.
If you want even continuation of a job or, this joblessness not to appear, give, share with God. Because God says, I will protect your resources. I will stop the devourers from devouring, sharing with other people.
Emeritus Bishop Abra served in government and church for 44 years before retirement. His wife Margaret Abra served as a teacher for 43 years, also retired last year.
President Museveni has assured the Bavandimwe that no one has a right over their stay in Uganda if fully registered as Ugandans. He was addressing the Bavandimwe through a video call at the Bavandimwe Carnival organized in Kampala. The major organizer of the event, Frank Gashumba, thanked the president for allowing them to acquire Ugandan passports. These are the details.
For the Bavandimwe, whose parents many times came long ago, that was not a problem at all, because they far exceeded the 10 years minimum. In my executive order, I told everybody that my godparent in 1947, this is about 80 years ago, when my family joined the church, was Hiram Kabutende from Rwanda. He had been here for some years. I don't know when they had come. With his mother, Marza, whom I was calling my grandmother. It was therefore not in order to subject the children of Kabutembe to the immigration department in Kampala, who didn't know anything about him.
Protecting the gays. Protecting tuwandikiwa kukulembeze wegwanga twamuwandikira munakunya n'atuddamu munyweze emirimu gyammwe buli mulimu gw'okola gukuweesa ekitiibwa temunyooma mirimu temulowooza nti mugenda kufa mukolere future kubanga mugenda kuwangaala.
Children who had been suffering from congenital heart disease have received support to access treatment. 3 children, Praise Biamukama, who is 3 months old, Faith Asasira, who is 8 months old, and Christine Namoviru, who is 7 months old, were identified for support, with Christine being the first to undergo treatment.
One of the 3 children having 2 holes in the heart was supported by the Second Chance of Living organization led by Peter Mpaji to undergo heart surgery in India. Action for Disadvantaged People, in partnership with Medina Foundation, organized an initiative at Mulago 2 in the UEB zone to mobilize support for children suffering from heart conditions. The mothers, led by Nalongo Christine Nabachwa, appreciated the support. Salongo George Ntambi of Action Aid for Disadvantaged People says they work closely with Narayana Health Hospital in India, which offers heart surgery at a subsidized cost per child.
Of the check they gave us to take this baby in India, the other baby, Akram, is now in India, is admitted in the hospital. So that is the job we've done. The money which they contributed, the 6 million, it's not enough, but we try to mobilize other people to come on board, because in India they reduced the cost to $5,000 per kid.
A member of the Second Chance of Life organization, Ruth Kaitesi, explained what inspired her son to start helping people who require medical and social support.
He is very dedicated to his foundation, and I told him this year I'm going to help him so we can see that we can raise more funds, because we don't have to wait for the camp once a year. I told him this year we have to to get more funds from different people. So
the founder, Peter Mpaji, and Action for Disadvantaged People handed over a check worth 7 million shillings to Nalongo Nabachwa and her child to support the child's heart surgery in India.
To raise more money, and I'm blessed to have such grateful connections like I do in the U.S. to help the people where I live, and I believe when I show them this, they'll definitely be more willing to give back, and I believe in the future I'll be able to raise more and more. Seeing this definitely drives me to do better and to plan better. And the people I have, I couldn't thank them more than enough, because they do so much for me. And it truly takes a village to do something like this, and I'm excited for the opportunity to have such a great network of people to do such great stuff.
Nalongo Amina Nabachwa, the mother of 7-month-old Christine Namubiru, appreciated the support to save her child's life. I am Chibedi Bashir and Mike Bakablindi for UBC.
Over 2,000 people in Busoga sub-region have benefited from a medical camp organized by the Uganda Police in collaboration with the Banana Industrial Research and Development Center. The Director General Banana Industrial Research and Development Center, Reverend Professor Florence Moranga, says that the aim is to bring health services nearer to the rural population. Let's have a look.
Participants from Busoga sub-region attended the medical camp organized by Uganda Police in collaboration with the Banana Industrial Research and Development Center. The Director General, Banana Industrial Research and Development Center, Reverend Professor Florence Muranga, says such initiatives promote the image of the Uganda Police but also create awareness about the Tooke products.
So this was really profound, to see that the opportunity is lending itself through the forces. And I think really we should foster this kind of engagement more and more in other spaces, because it brings a positive outlook through the relationship between the community and the police forces.
Meanwhile, the Banana Industrial Research and Development Center is fulfilling the requirements for the export market for Tooke products.
Because our industry is really export driven. As you are aware, we are one of the biggest producers of matoke. So we eat a lot of matoke. Why we need this industry? Yes, first and foremost to get some import substitution into the confectionery, but also to ensure that we share this good crop, this good food with the rest of the world. So that's really our main aspiration, to bring our first contingent, at least in the export market. But maybe I should also say that to that end,
what is being worked on is the expansion of the production lines to meet the export market.
We are working towards, we have got the ISO again, which is a confirmation of our quality. We're working on FDA and other quality parameters for Asia and for Europe, to ensure that we are able to continually and without abating bring these products into these markets. And we believe that before the end of the financial year, we should be able to come to this point. However, we are producing right now at 1.5 tons per day in terms of flour, and most of the export market are asking for flour. So we cannot sign the kind of contracts that we would like at that level. So we have got a grant that is helping us to expand our capacity from the 1.5 to between 10 to 15 tons per day.
The Banana Industrial Research and Development Center is boosting the commercialization of Uganda's bananas through research, value addition, and industrialization.
The chairperson of the Older Persons in Kayunga District, also former Minister for the Elderly and Disability Persons, Sulaiman Chebakoze Madada, has urged older persons in Kayunga to embrace peaceful politics and contribute to national development. This was during the Older Persons meeting in Kayunga District.
But part of GROPA, which is organizing mobilization of the elderly to participate in the political, social, and economic programs that are taking place. Now that we are going for election, we think that we can be a good resource to bring politics of sanity. This is why we are mobilizing elders at the structures already created by NRM government to be part of those who will be counseling leaders, including the youth, to vote wisely. And we should not really bring a lot of conflicts. We should also take a lead role in the post-election conflict resolutions. But we want to appeal to our candidates, including His Excellency the President of Uganda, to consider seriously using the elderly, the older persons, to ensure that they participate and contribute to good political elections.
Certify you, you will be accredited and you will be court annexed. Naye bw'obanga tokoledde mu kooti n'awaka wennyini ku kyalo okolerawo.
Tuli mu kalulu ka president. Ensi eno.
The program has met our expectations in that it has been able to give us business.
They gave us a contract where we did a renovation at their head office.
MTN trained us in their procurement process and also the IT technology.
I was struggling with managing the finances of the company. So when I went for that training, I was able to improve in financial literacy and management.
Are you a female entrepreneur looking to do business with MTN? Log on to www.mtn.co.ug/AWE. Together, our progress is unstoppable.
This is our home, our land, our Uganda. From the rolling hills to the busy streets, from the farmers in the fields to the students in classrooms, we are one people. Elections are a time to choose our leaders, not to fight our brothers and sisters. When violence enters the ballot box, the future of our country is wounded. But when peace leads the way, our nation grows stronger. On election day, choose unity over diversion, respect over hatred, and dialogue over distraction. Love your country, protect your fellow citizens, stand for peace, and say no to electoral violence. This message is brought to you by the Global Election Observation Mission, GEOM, in partnership with the Uganda Electoral Commission. Informed citizens, strong nation.
Starting with 100,000 shillings, you begin building real financial strength, because wealth doesn't just happen. You build it. And the ones who start early end up ahead. Every deposit, every month, every little increase. This is how your money grows into wealth. Put your money to work with the experts at SBG Securities. Partner with us today on your investment journey.
SBG Securities. Keep growing for you, for them, forever.
Kasokoso, where are you coming from?
From NSSF.
NSSF? You traveled all the way from Namagudi to get NSSF services. Rekanawe. You work with the era. NSSF is now everywhere. Come on, I show you.
NSSF sure is not far. But tomorrow kuhika gotido. Enjoy NSSF from where you are.
Access NSSF services right where you live. With over 20,000 quick teller agents across Uganda, now you can conveniently register yourself, make NSSF payments, and contributions to your Smart Life account, Jubida. NSSF. a better life.
Unisteel Investment Uganda Limited, shaping the future of steel in East Africa and beyond. With an investment of over $100 million and a production capacity of 300,000 metric tons per annum, Unisteel is setting new standards in steel manufacturing. At our state-of-art facility, we produce TMX rebars, branded Unis TMX 500 CWR, and high-quality wire rods using only imported virgin steel billets. Every batch is tested and tracked for unmatched quality assurance. Our steel powers the region's most ambitious projects, from dams, skyscrapers, to bridges and beyond. Unisteel, superior quality, trustworthy choice.
Step into elegance, step into confidence, step into La Vie Boutique. Located at Grand Imperial Hotel, Shop 6 and 8, right behind Bank of Uganda, La Vie Boutique brings you high-class corporate and casual wear for men. From sharp designer suits and crisp shirts to stylish casual t-shirts, tracksuits, shoes and accessories, we've got everything to make you stand out. Call us on 0772 419 181 or 0705 555 558. La Vie Boutique, where class meets style.
Blue Christmas is near. Spread the festive cheer all December with great deals right here. Shop online with Market by Momo. We deliver. Log on to market.momo.africa. Use the MyMTN app or the new Momo app to register and shop online. Market by Momo is from MTN and powered by MasterCard.
Starting with 100,000 shillings, you begin building real financial strength, because wealth doesn't just happen, you build it. And the ones who start early end up ahead. Every deposit, every month, every little increase. This is how your money grows into wealth. Put your money to work with the experts at SBG Securities. Partner with us today on your investment journey.
SBG Securities. Keep growing for you, for them, forever.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has rolled out a financial empowerment scheme to uplift mechanics in Mpigi district from poverty. Under the program, each registered cluster of mechanics will receive a grant of 300 million Uganda shillings. The funds will be channeled through their newly established savings and credit cooperative organization, and we had a chance to interact with the stakeholders.
The funds for this initiative have already been released to the Office of the Chief Supervisor for Government Programs, Chisacha Mkama. Mechanics in PG will receive the first 300 million shillings within the next 5 days. A key requirement for accessing the funds is the formalization of their circle through opening a dedicated bank account. While meeting the mechanics at St. Kizito Primary School in Kayawe Town Council, Mpigi District, Chisacha Mkama clarified that the program is meant to uplift mechanics' livelihoods.
Today we are in Mpigi to finalize the Kampala Metropolitan, forming the garages and the circles. So I have urged these young men and women to use this money to fight corruption within.
He emphasized that President Museveni's government will eradicate poverty among Ugandans, which informed the mechanics' empowerment strategy. On the 1 billion shilling support, Mr. Chisacha Mkama explained that the money will be released in phases.
Eliminate leaders or politicians who might divert them. The aim of the president does not target only the NRM. This project does not only target the NRM people. It targets all the youth, all the men and the women who are working in the garages. This is not an NRM project, though it is the President Museveni's project, because it's an initiative that is started by His Excellency. I urge all politicians to stay away from this project. I urge you and I want all politicians who might come to divert or to disorganize these young men.
In a further boost, government has secured funds to purchase land measuring 100 by 100 feet for construction of a permanent modern garage. Mechanics were tasked to identify suitable land.
Abo mugambe ffe tufunye wano lino kuba lina ekyapa fuuti 10 ku 10.
The meeting attracted over 500 mechanics. Maokota South MP Susan Nakauchi commended government for the support.
Grateful that at least with this startup capital they are getting, they are going to be able to achieve much more.
Kwebaza kuno eri government President Museveni kyatukoledde olwaleero okubeera nga naffe tufunye omukisa nga bamakanika baziyingini ab'okunyanja. Tubadde luli twasuulibwa tuli abamakanika ba mukikuubo tuli bawakisekka neteekateeka nga olwaleero emaze n'agituusa mu kyalo.
Mike Bakabulindi compiled this report.
The Presidential Initiative on Banana Industrial Development has carried out a chef launch for their Create and Cook competitions to popularize Matoke food and its instant flour brand. Let's take a look. This launch is intended to attract chefs into the Create and Cook competition, slated for March this year. The chefs will be required to use Tooke brand instant flour in any of the products.
Right now we are taking in applicants, any chef, professional, or anybody who likes cooking. We have our application forms. Just fill in, pay 50,000 for participation fee, and take part in the cooking competition.
The initiative is among the steps being taken by PBED to popularize wholesome Matoke consumption in its various values, from the food bunch, banana leaves, and stem, crediting the creativity of chefs to turn these into food products.
You know, chefs have been in the background, but we want to bring them out to show that they can do something creative, because they are creating new recipes which will be published, which will be taken to the diaspora.
This flour is gluten-free. It has good properties on resistant starch, but it has all the properties what Matoke can provide. And Matoke is our staple food, but what we see now is a transformation, a transition into value addition. So that we have the green Matoke, which has a botanical name, which is accumulator, triploid accumulator. Triploid accumulator is the botanical name of Matoke. That now it is a value-added product that has gone on the global food market.
Participation in the Create and Cook competition is open to professional bakers, pastry chefs, and general chefs. Bakers and pastry chefs must have at least 5 years of experience, while general chefs require a minimum of 3. Contestants will receive training in the use of Tooke flour before competing in qualifying, semi-final and final rounds. And that brings us to the end of our 10 o'clock edition of the UBC News Tonight this weekend. Thank you very much for being a lovely audience. Allow us to wish you a new week and a happy new year. From the team, my name is Wadulo Arnold Mark Mugalu Muhammad on Sign Language. Have a lovely one.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Exercise.